Welcome everybody. On today's episode, we're putting a plow on. So most of you know, obviously live in Wisconsin. So with that comes snow in the winter. And for the last couple of years we've been getting by with either having the old man come down with a snowblower and clear us out, or if I really get desperate, I fire up the tractor, destroy the yard, freeze my nuts off, and get stuck, and it never turns out that great. So one of the goals has been to get a plow, and this spring I picked up a plow, a Boss Vee Plow, for $1,500, and so then I've been slowly procrastinating over the course of the summer till, well, now it's winter. We've gotten 2 snowstorms that would have been really handy to have had a plow. So last night, took a run down to Fond du Lac after work, picked up a plow mount and some wiring for this rusty gem. So we're gonna see kind of carnage we can cause by putting a plow on the second gen. So that's what we're doing today. We're taking a used mount, some used wiring, with a used plow, and we're gonna put it all together and hope it works. So stay tuned, because this could get interesting. So as usual, I get myself in trouble. I was perusing Marketplace, and somebody said, hey, or had an ad up that said plow mount wiring off a 2001 Ram 2500. Some wiring, plow mount. And it just so happens that I have a 2001 2500. So picked all that up for $450, and we're gonna see if we can make it work. And it works out perfect. That the mount's a little crusty, and must have been on a Cummins because it reeks of diesel. But yeah. And you know what? I figured this mount had just enough character that it kind of fit the truck. Some motif there, and my plow's got a little bit of rust on it as well. So maybe next year we'll do the old rattle can Ricky treatment. But for now, we're going for form, fit, and function. So that's what we're gonna try to do. So first things first, we got our end plate, and we got to take out. Where is it here? Yeah, that bolt, and that bolt. Because the holes in the plate here should line right up with that, and we'll get her hung on there. So we'll see. 24 years and 300,000 miles of Wisconsin. We'll see how these come out. Well, color me impressed. We got them out. It wasn't pretty, but the old Milwaukee and the old Snap-on got her done. So we'll get this first bracket up. Anybody's wondering, these are 18 millimeter, or what the bolts nuts are. So 18 millimeter. All right, so our first bracket is on, driver's side. Had to do a little bit of adjusting here for the bumper brace that took a little bit to get it to line up, and then this guy here is like joined with a flat plate so that those two bolts are like fixed together. So you got to turn that around so that the nuts are this way, because they didn't extend the bracket up enough that you could keep it the way it was. You gotta spin it around, but not a big deal. Just have to put a longer extension on the ratchet to get in there. So it's snugged up, it's tight, it's working. Well, the other side went much faster. We got the crossbar in loose right now because we still got to put the kickers that go back in as well. So the important part here is when you're doing this is the center of this hole here to the floor or ground, whatever you want to say. It needs to be 15.5 inches. So we're dialed pretty much right in. If that tire over there wasn't a little low, they'd both be exactly 15.5 off the ground. So you know, and that's all very situational to how tall your truck is, size tires you got on it, right? So that's where we shaped. We can see what it was previously on. It was up a couple notches higher, which it had to be damn near buried in the bumper to be all the way up there. But that's the scoop. So when we pick back up on this, we'll get the kickers on, and we will we'll be through the mount portion, then we'll get started on the wiring. Yippee. All right, so we got her all mounted up. Everything fit together decently well enough. So obviously we must have got the stuff for the right truck. So I got it all tightened up. According to the manual, we got to run it for plow for a couple hours and then go through and retighten. But so the underside work is all done. Now on to wiring. So I'm trying to spread this all out here because, well, it was all coiled in a box, but looks like I got basically everything, maybe less a few bullet connectors for the turn signal. So not a problem. But first steps first is the headlights. So this end goes into the back of the headlight. This end gets the truck, the plug from the harness on the truck, which, you know, passenger side is right down there. Driver's side will have to pull the battery out for. So we'll start working on getting this wiring laid in here and see what we can do. So update, we got the wiring basically in. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with the stuff that actually hooks to the plow yet. The headlights had to tie into the marker, and then it just plugs into the back of the headlights, so that was pretty handy. So yeah, I had to identify turn signals and running lights and get that tied in. As far as this rat's nest, I mean, it looks better in person than it does on camera, but we got the solenoid attached to the firewall, and the relay pack is attached up to the harness here of the truck, just so that it's all out of the way and not going to be getting caught in anything or burned on anything. And then it's hard to see now because I kind of put some of the stuff in the way, but because this truck's an automatic, there's a plug in the hole for where the clutch rod would have came through for the clutch pedal. So that's how we pulled into the interior. So now I think we got everything pretty well buttoned up in the engine bay, but next is the interior for the switches, some power, and then where the controller wiring goes. Alright, so on the interior side we had to find key hot power, which we had a blank in the fuse panel, so that was a stroke of luck there. So So we got our key on power. We fished a little wire in. There's a little doohickey here for switching headlights from the truck to the plow. So that's good. We just gotta tuck our wiring from the switch up and do some zip tying under the dash here, and then we got our harness or our controller plug here, our 9-pin for the controller. So I think once I get the controller tomorrow, we should be good to go live and see if it works. Well, we must have did something right. Yeah, buddy. All right, we just need a controller, man. Woohoo! Well, we got her on. We gave it a test run. Took a little bit. We had some struggles getting the pins to lock in. I might have to rebuild those in the spring, but hopefully we won't be doing a whole bunch of on and off. We'll just have it on and leave it on kind of deal. But other than that, the only issue I got is my headlights. They switch off with the truck, but they don't switch on the plow. So I'm thinking I either got a bad ground, sticky relay, or I might have put something that should be to power to ground and I have no power to the relay. So it's one of those things. But yeah, we moved a little snow with it, and still got to get the 4-wheel drive fixed. But for what it was and what we were doing, it worked well. So can't say I'm too sad about it at this point. But we're gonna let it thaw off here overnight, and tomorrow after work, we'll see if we can figure out what we got to do to get headlights. Then we'll be ready to rock and roll.
Let's have something cool on the truck. We're doing something cool on the truck, and we're doing wow with my dad. So we gotta down. Yeah, Papa, down us. We're having really fun, and we're coming back here.
Well, we figured out, we solved the mystery. So, we got some bipolar LEDs in this thing, and all that needed to happen was I needed to pop them out and flop the plug around, which is really disappointing because I did hours of electrical troubleshooting and was really having my doubts here with it. And then I was talking to a good buddy of mine who's a snow removal expert and Iron Mountain's premier snow remover. And he's like, do you know, do the plow headlights actually work? And I was like, well, I don't know that, I guess. And so I bought the little bracket to mount the plug and stuff to the truck just so it wasn't dangling and risking getting stuck anywhere. And yeah, so while I had that off, I was like, well, I checked and I had power going out to the headlights. So then I pulled the headlights apart, and while walking past it one day, I noticed that there was LEDs in there, and I was like, that seems suspicious. And after having the conversation, I was like, maybe it's a polarity thing. So I pulled them apart and I had power up to the headlights, so I flipped thankfully the plug is universal and go either way. And so I flipped it over and we got lights. And so I lucked out with this harness that I bought because it had the dual burn kit. So when the highs are on, the high and the low beams are on, which is kind of nice. So yeah, we got her buttoned up. We got headlights now. I might just drive this thing to work tomorrow just to piss people off with these super bright lights, but that's neither here nor there. So next episode now, we just got to get the posi lock kit in so we have 4-wheel drive. And we'll be good to go. So until next time, smoke them if you got them.